Good morning, everyone out in the flight sim world. This is Flying with Mike, and we're getting ready to head off to Denver, Colorado. Um, we'll be flying the Sparks Mod 747, and we're located right now on the DHL ramp at Cincinnati International, which is actually in Kentucky, not on the Ohio side. All right, folks, so let's get into the pre-flight brief here, and we'll get into then getting this bird airborne. We're pretty much ready to go, so it's about a 2.5 hour flight. So without further ado, here comes Sim Toolkit so we can do the pre-flight brief. Okay, here's Sim Toolkit, and as you can see, uh, simple flight plan for those of you wanting to join along. We're on POSCON. Um, we'll be on the Whitewater 9 departure, uh, Alpha X-ray Charlie transition. Then it's simply Springfield, Kirksville, Bravo Romeo, Whiskey Romeo Yankee for the transition onto the logger to arrival into Denver. Now we're going to do an arrival I haven't done before, and it's runway 8. It's one of the two cross runways. This airport, when it was built back in the mid to early to mid 90s, every runway was built so they could be used in snowstorms. Go figure, they get a little. Each runway is a mile apart, both north-south. They've got two sets of north-south runways, the 3-4s and the 3-5s. Then they have the 8, um, oh gosh, 8, 2-6, and the 7, um, um, 2-5. Set up, and they're all over a mile apart, so you can constantly flow. Every runway can be used, no matter what kind of instrument conditions you're in. A lot of airports have them too close together so they can't land parallel. But here at Denver, when they built the airport, they wanted all runways available, so they have quite a few runways available every time, either for takeoff or for landing or for, whatever. So we're at Denver. We're going to try the runway 8 arrival. It's all simple there, folks. There's nothing drawn out. My gosh, it's a scary approach. Um, but for now, we're at Cincinnati, so let's talk Cincinnati. We're 896 feet above sea level. 18 left is our scheduled runway for departure. Transition, of course, 18,000, and the heading on this runway is 186. For the loadout, we have, well, click over, there we go, 68,835 kilograms on board. 8 passengers, and total fuel out of 40,000 kilograms. Weather here, variable winds now at 3. Okay, that could change my thinking and do a 2-7 departure. It's a little closer taxi, but we'll see. 10-mile visibility, few clouds at 4,000, temperature -2 Celsius. It has gotten pretty chilly over the Midwest here. We had a little snow here in St. Louis over the weekend, and hopefully most of it seems to have, by the radiational heat, not by temperature heat, gone away. So, and the altimeter here is in Cincinnati is 3025. Just a foretaste of the weather we're going into. We're going into instrument conditions. Winds are 060 at 7, 5 miles visibility, light snow, and broken layer of clouds, or the ceiling is at 500 feet. It's -9 Celsius, -11 on the dew point, and it's 2975. So the next Midwestern to Eastern snowstorm on its way. It's now in Denver. And worst case scenario here, winds will be 070 at 5 with 3 miles visibility and 500 feet overcast. So we're still just fine on weather either way. So over here on the other chart, our cost index for the flight will be 100. Um, Air distance is 1,238 miles, and we plan to climb up to 36,000 feet with no further step climbs. Scrolling down, you can see the breakdown of our fuel. We've got excuse me, folks, for that yawn. I do apologize. We've got 10.4, I'm sorry, 10.3 for our reserve out of that 40,000 kilograms we loaded up. Finally, the alternate today is Colorado Springs. And you can see here's the departure for the, I'm sorry, the arrival route we're going to take if we need to. And then here's ours again. That's funny, it didn't change. Oh well. All right, then finally ending up down here, we got about a 3-hour flight instead of 2.5. We'll see how that plays out and in our weight breakdowns. All right, real quick, hit the charts here. So that way you all can see what we're doing. CVG to Denver. We can't zoom in, and there's Colorado Springs real close. Significant weather-wise, we've got turbulence over Denver and Colorado Springs, light to moderate chop, plus the snow. Jet stream cutting in right south in between the two, Denver and Colorado Springs, plus one running to the north. So you can imagine what that's going to do to our flying winds. And which level are we at here? 34. You can see where the jets are starting to show here. And other than that, they're pretty much from the west to the east, which means headwinds all the way in. And 36,000. Oh, I just did that one. There we go. And if we do go up to 38, same kind of wind conditions. And here's the terrain profile. You can see it's building up to the Mile High City. And kind of a profile of the winds back to CVG. All right, folks, so that's going to wrap up our pre-flight brief. I'm going to go ahead and get into the departure brief just so, oh, that's right, I just reloaded that, my bad. All right, let's get in here. So you can kind of see what we're going to do here to get out of Cincinnati. First thing is get an idea where we're parked, way on the south end of the runway, and we got a tax Y27. Kind of sounds usable. But we're going to go ahead and stick with the 1.8. All the way up to the top, down we go. And we'll be using probably, well, we'll probably use Sierra all the way up. Okay, now moving over to the departure. Well, wait a minute. Let me go back. We didn't hit the frequencies. Have it checked right now. Let me do that while you all are looking at that. Whoa, where am I? Oh, there I am. Okay. All right, let me kind of zoom in here. I just want to make sure no ETC came up. Okay, so as I said, we're going to look at the frequencies up here. ATIS is 135.3. We're waiting on our clearance to come through, which hasn't yet through POSCON. 21.7 is ground. We'll be using the tower frequency 118.975. That's for 18 left. All right, then departure 128.7. All right, now for that departure, here we are again at CVG. We'll be on the Whitewater 9 departure. And we'll be using the initial climbs for runway 18 left, which is climb on a heading of 184. At distance 1.5 south of ICIZ, which I believe is our localizer, we make a left to 165, and then expect vectors to Lovey, then to Zabel, then transition route. Turbojets expect 6,000, all others maintain 4,000, and then filed altitude 10 minutes after departure. Getting a little close-up of what they're wanting us to do is we'll bank away from the center runways. They kind of did the same thing here in CVG. Splitting them apart allows them to keep landing and taking off on all the runways. The only bad thing is they only have one east-west. So there's our localizer that we're 1.5 off of that we fly out on 165. Okay, from there then we vector around to Lovey, Zabel, out to Terre Haute, and then on to Aders. And Aders is where we transition onto our route. Okay, so it's a pretty simple departure, folks, that we'll go over again if need be. So let's come back and reset the chart here so you can kind of get a visual of how it looks here as well. All right, so let's move that out of the way, and we'll bring up the live map. Okay, and push them back a little further. There we go. There's the snow that Cincinnati is expecting here a little later. All right, so let's push back to the simulator, get back into cockpit, and let's finish up the checklist so we can get pushed back and headed on our way. Okay. All right, so there we are at the airplane. Let's hop up into the cockpit. We'll go ahead and close the door behind us. All right, so, and we'll look up here at the upper panel. Okay, window heats are both on. Yaw dampers are on. They are located right here. Lost my place here. Outflow main valves, these two are off. Air conditioning all at auto. Trim air on. Upper, lower recircs on. Air cargo heat, we'll turn that on here once we get started in taxiing. ECS is normal. High flow switch is on. Pack 1 is on and at normal. 2 and 3 are off. Left and right recircs, and isolation valves are open and our 4 bleeds are on. I'm going to go ahead and click on the bleed valve for the APU here as we're getting ready to start that up. EFIS is set. Displays are set. Standby instruments are set. Speed brake lever. Okay, that is going to be here. It is in the down position. We'll go ahead and set the parking brake. Fuel switches are in cutoff. Thrust closed. And flaps are 0 and 0. Auto brakes we're not going to set at the moment. We'll set those at the end of the runway or taxiing. And passenger signs both on. They're located on the bottom pedestal. And radios are set. All right, hang on a second here. I just noticed something not updating on my laptop here. Let me get that going. From here, we're going to go ahead and set up our APU. So to do that, we just simply turn it on. Make sure we got fuel pumps on. And okay, we're just waiting on the APU, which just spooled up. I see the gen's available. Okay, coming down, let's check the brake pressure, which is at 3,000. And yes, I'm kind of multitasking here. Oh, come on, computer. The sad thing is this laptop isn't really that old, but it sure acts like it's from the Stone Age. Or the tin cups connected by a string. All right, so I'm just trying to make sure everything is set and ready to go. Okay, and everything's good to go. Sorry for that echo there for a second. Let's try to figure that out now. All right, so brake pressure, fuel quantities are good. We're set at 40 kilograms. Shipping papers are on board. Performance checked and set. And MCP is set for V2 plus 10, 165, 186 for the heading, 36,000 for the climb out. V1 is 138, V rotate 141, V2 155. Trim is set to, well, they're saying 3 units. Oh, wow, it's way off whack here. Hang on a second. All right, so let's go ahead and dial that up. Okay. And, oh, lost my place on my checklist again. Aileron trim, rudder trim are both 0. Auto start as needed. Yeah, we're going to need it. Okay, and we'll do a recall. We've already done the briefing. And let's get the hydraulic pressures on. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. All right, so we are now ready, almost ready to push and start. Folks, we are now at the point where we're ready to do our push and start. Okay, to do a push and start here, first off, oh, what did I just click? Okay, let's try this again. Let's go ahead and first plan our pushback. And we're going to be a little off here. It's one thing I don't like is some of these developers.
Round to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Is some of the developers don't put the start points further up than they are. All right, better push back.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Okay, so the tow is on its way. We've done the crew briefing. We're going to go ahead, remove the chocks. To do that, it's very simple. Remove chocks. I'm going to turn the transponder on. Okay, here we've got a couple vectors. Okay, you can see the guy coming under the plane right now. Beacon light on. All right, very important. Fuel pumps are on. We don't have to worry about the cross feeds because we're in tank to engine at this point. APU bleed. Make sure that's on. That is nowhere in the checklist, so be
okay,
careful.
all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Okay, so, and then from there, all you do is arm your engines you want to start. In an auto start, all you have to do to arm is pull them. So we're going to start with 1 and 4. And when he tells us we can light off, we'll bring our fuel switches up to run. I'm going to go ahead and get the timer going on our clock on the first officer side. And if you want to see, here you go.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
All right, folks, we are ready to push back.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, that's the command we were waiting for. We can start engines at any time. I'm going to go ahead and get 1 and 4 started. You may or may not hear them in the background. In reality, you would not hear the engines. You are way too forward, way too up to hear them. For a second there, I thought I pushed us back in the wrong direction. Now, where we're at here in CVG, okay, now we've got light off. Let me take care of that first. Then we can chit-chat. We got first engine 1 and 4 lit off. They're building up. When they stabilize, we can arm. Actually, we can go ahead and arm 2 and 3. They're not going to start until we move those run fuel control switches up. Okay, and the 2 outboards have stabilized. Now, where we're at here in CVG or Cincinnati International, this is the DHL ramp. Also home to Prime Air. Prime Air, if you're not familiar with, that is Amazon's air service to helping to get your goodies you purchase from Amazon to you quicker, especially if it has to come from Europe and over. That's what the 7.4s are used for. The 7.6s can do it as well. They can just cram more into a 7.4.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Okay, and parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
All right, so let's go ahead, start up numbers 2 and 3. But anyway, for the most part, Amazon's Prime Air operation runs with 767s, but with Atlas being pretty much in charge of it, they contract ABX, ATN, Amerijets, primarily because they're 767 fleets to start with, but not as many as Atlas owns. And they all work together to get your goods to you, along with a lot of trucks that come out of here. I hate to say it, folks, that go by truck. All right, and our engines are up. We'll go ahead and release him. And let's begin into our after engine start checklist. So, to the top we go. Well, first off, let's make sure we've stabilized, and we have. Okay, so ignition to continuous. APU to off.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the right. We'll see you next time and have a great flight.
Okay. And thanks for flying with Mike. All right, so we're going to norm on the engine, on the packs, and auto on all 4 of our hydraulics. Anti-ice system, we will run with the engines at least. We'll take a look at the sky conditions to determine if we'll turn on the wing. We'll do a recall as soon as we turn that on. Okay, APU is cooling down. It's not running. Flight controls. There they are. Okay. Now, this way you can see them, And this is how the pilots would do it. So this is what you're looking at. Well, granted, I'm in the center, but anyway, so we just go left and right. Okay, and then we do the elevator. Up, down, up. And the rudders. Okay, and then I just do a freedom check by running them all around. Oh, sorry for that sniffle there. Now, interesting side note here about 747s. This little gizmo in the back, which does not work in X-Plane or FSX, is a switch, and that will do that for them. And then all they have to do is watch. They'll also do it themselves to make sure. Let's see, flaps going to 20 on this departure. So let me double check everything. Flaps 20. Flaps 20. Okay, so we're going to go to 2. And flaps 20 is going to go to here. I hate this. There it goes. It really fights me so many times. And we are set to taxi, folks, so we'll turn the parking brake off, come back up to this angle, turn those taxi lights on. Actually, let's signal them that we're ready. And ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning our taxi, and it is a healthy taxi up to runway 18 left. Let's take a look outside the plane. And primarily the 747s do find their way down here, as well as behind the building on this side. And then out into that area is primarily 767s. Now, I told you we were going to take, I believe it was Sierra, we'll be taking this taxiway. All right, folks. Well, for you on Twitch, we'll be right back. And for you on YouTube, we'll see you at the other end. All right, YouTubers, welcome back with us. We just had a little discussion on the air freight world and how it's just so centered between Memphis, Indianapolis. Back in my day of driving the truck in the 90s, Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Wilmington, and Louisville, Kentucky. Just amazing the size and proportion of the air freight hubs here. So, but anyway, we are coming up to 18 left. Let's go ahead, do our before takeoff checklist. The MCP is set. Flight directors are on. Auto throttles are set. Again, 165 V2 plus 10. And transponders will get set here as we round the corner. Okay, there we go. Real quick, transponder set, RTO on the auto brakes. And for the MCP, we're going to okay, so traffic, terrain on this one, weather, and traffic on that one. Okay, recall, and to do that, let's do it right here. Recall, nothing. Okay. And flight attendants have been notified. We're ready for takeoff. So we're going to go ahead, take the runway. Strobes on. And real quick check. Come on, Navgraph. Thank you. We'll get on the runway and I'm going to do a real quick check here. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're on the runway. Real quick recap. Our departure is going to be runway heading to 1.5 DME from the India Sierra or Charlie India Zulu localizer. Then we'll turn to 165. From there, we'll then loop ourselves around to Lovey, to Zabel, to Terre Haute, to Aders, and then on to Springfield. Okay. All right, landing. First off, let's go ahead and start the timer. I forgot that. I flew offline a couple flights here and find myself missing some steps here. Lights are all on. Okay. Checklist complete. Here we go. Let me make sure everything. KVORs are all set. MCP set. Auto brake set to reject. Auto throttle on. Here we go. Okay, we're stable at 53. Toga. All right, so what the heck? Rotate. All right, folks, I don't know where that all came from, but, well, we're airborne. Autopilot's on. I wanted to get that on, and let's get the landing gear up. Here we go on the turn to 175. Flaps going to 10. Okay, and the auto brakes. Okay, so let's do the after takeoff check. Go to flaps 5. All right, so positive rate of climb, gears up and off. Flaps are retracting as scheduled. Go to flaps 1. And auto brakes are off. Autopilot's engaged. Pressurization system is coming up. And at transition, level 10,000, we'll turn the landing lights off. Okay. And flaps up. All right. Okay. LNAV back on as we work our way to go direct. Okay, so we are now direct, like it said to Lovey. Well, vectors, we're going to go ahead and go direct. That random podcast, welcome aboard. Hope you're enjoying the flight. All right, there's 10,000 feet. Lights are off. We can turn the APU valve on. I'm going to go ahead and turn the wing ice on. And we're pushing now for 300. All right, this is looking really good. Okay, now you'll see me adjust my headings to make sure we're somewhat kosherly in line with these things to get on course. Just in case something goes on and I need to switch off autopilot and have, or come off LNAV and have to use my autopilot, or worse, fly the magenta line, which is this red line, if I had to hand fly it. God help us if that happens. But anyway, we're making the turn now to Zabal. Through 27,000, and I missed one of my checklist points. Hang on a second. All right, so we need to click standard. Standard. Okay. And come off continuous power. We've got an anti-ice on, so after takeoff transition level now, altimeter is standard, ignition is on Continuous is off, and we are on our way to Denver. And what I'm going to do, set my trim to the notch on the throttle stick that I use for the trim, and that should help us funnel out here better. And I'm also waiting for our Mach to get to 0.8, and at that point I'll switch into it. Again, remember, we're climbing to 36,000 feet. All right. Go ahead and switch to Mach. So our Mach now is set to 0.81. And I'm going to go ahead at this point turn off our seatbelts. Now the reason I go to auto, y'all may know this, once we drop below 10,000 they turn on. That way if I forget them, which I do quite a bit, we don't have to worry about it. Alright, so final checks here as we come up to cruise in about 5,000 feet. EFIS was checked, and we're going to go to, okay, EFIS is set to decision height. Passenger signs are at auto, and we'll announce level off here at about 4,000 feet. All right, since we have a little bit of a traveling day here, we'll get some music going here, folks, and y'all enjoy the ride up to 36,000. And we are still sitting here just watching the chat room. If y'all want to chat, feel free to. If y'all like what you've seen, and I do see the Random Podcast 15 followed us about 10 minutes ago. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. You'll get an email notification when we go live on our upcoming flights. But any questions, anything you want to chat about, chat room's wide open. Just be mindful of people, and nothing harmful, racial, anything that causes, fights. We don't need that in the chat room. So enjoy, folks, as we climb out and head on to Denver, Colorado. folks, I'm back with you for a couple of minutes here. We're currently at 36,000 feet, Mach 0.84, and we're about 1,000 miles from Denver. Top of descent showing in at about half the distance. So what we'll do is go into the arrival brief right now. Even though we are about 2 hours out, we'll recap it. But I want to get that in here and make sure things are loaded the way they should be. So hang on a second here. Alright, so Sim Toolkit's loaded up here. Let me just get over here so I can get everything pulled up properly. Okay, hang on here. Okay, hang on. Let me make sure we're not doing a turnaround here. And we were. All right. Love it when I check things and okay. All right, so I'm kind of glad we checked here. All right, so going back to the legs page. Okay. Yeah, so as you're seeing on the live map, you guys didn't see what was going on. Let me quickly refresh my screen here. Okay, so what happened when I came up here and I clicked legs and Kirksville, VOR, was not on the page, but oddly enough, I can't think of the first leg, Levy, I believe it was, Lovey, our first fix after the vector was what was showing. So I noticed the execute was there as well, and so yeah, we were definitely into some trouble there. So I'm glad we caught it when we did, and for some reason it was flying on course. We'll keep an eye on that, but after Kirksville we have our initial or our transition into Denver of BRWRY, and then on in with the arrival. So let me kick Sim Toolkit over again. Okay, so as you can see the little bump there where we adjusted the routing, but for there it was flying it like it was supposed to. That is truly weird, but you know, I've seen a lot of weird things with these flight sims over the 20 years I've been flying them, so that doesn't really come in and surprise me a lot. All right, so as you can see on NavGraph, there's our line, Kirksville. Just got to bounce out. There's our initial, and then we come in on the arrival. So what I want to check here, now the big thing to keep in mind here, and we should be able to show that on this chart. Here we go. Up here at the top. Okay, airport elevation, 1 mile. It's the Mile High City, folks. So we're 1 mile above MSL. 0, so it's a mile up. So everything you think about 10,000 feet, you know, we turn our lights on. 18,000 feet. Well, folks, you just knocked 5,000 feet out of all of that. So you got to keep that in mind with your flight planning. Okay, so transition level, of course, will be 18,000. Coming down, we're going to come in over BRWRY to Dunkel, to Polish, to Pilsner, to Lager, LAWGR. We need to be above 19,000 feet at that point. To P-Pent. Now, this is where you're going to be looking at this going, hold on a minute here. Exactly, hold on a minute here. Why are we at 250 feet there? Well, first off, this is actually 15,000 feet-ish, 16,000 feet, somewhere in that ballpark, above ground level. This is 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet, 250 knots. Boom. Come down to burp, and that'll also be 17,000 to 15,000. And then we're going to work our way down into here to 11,000 feet at Hayter, and that'll be at 210. Now, mind you, that's 6,000 feet above the ground. Keep all of that in perspective through this whole arrival. Remember, Denver is the mile-high city, so everything is at least a mile up above sea level. So, and then we vector out to our, excuse me folks for yawning, but we vector from there on to our, where we turn in for runway 8. Now, runway 8 is this one. This is runway 7. Your 3.5s, your 3.4s, kind of giving you, or 1.7s and 1.6s. Give you full perspective here. All right, folks, so again, our track will be Pilsner, Lager, P-Pent, Burp, JEPHF, I think JEP, to Hazlitt, to Hayter, and then on out to turn around and come back in. So, and again, real quick with the directions over here, you can see it's the same thing from P-Pent on track 230 to Burp, then 247 to Jep, to 236 to Hazlitt, to 263 Hayter, then on track, and we just got to watch all of our altitudes. So when we first get ready to start down, I'm going to dial in 19,000. So that way we'll be covered here. Then 15,000, so we're covered down to here. 13, and of course we'll be at 11,000 feet. Real quick on the ILS. Wrong one. Hang on a second. I've got a lot of things covered here. All right, so back to runway 8. Again, that's the northeast-west runway. So we're going to be coming off a Hayter somewhere up in here, and we're going to come around for lips. So pretty simple stuff. We'll go into all of this much closer in, at least 500 miles out before we start down. Let me clear out this. Oops, clear nav graph. See where they're showing a top of descent, so you can kind of get a feel. We're going to actually start probably up in here so that we can make sure we make 19,000 and so forth on the way in. All right, so let's just do a quick look here. everything looks good. Execute. Okay. And I'll be fine with lips at 7,000. The big one is here, which looks good. And we just got to make sure to be at 210. So basically, we're going to probably be at about flaps 5 at that point, slowing us down to come on in. We just crossed Kirksville, and let me check my stream here. Glad I did. Okay, so there we go. So what you saw, what you didn't see is all we were doing is checking our altitudes. And the big one again being Hater at 11,000. You just need to be at 210 on the speed. And just kind of looking at them as we come in. Let's see how that has done here. Progress. Okay, so see how it changed everything. Now we're looking more right. 431 miles from our top of descent to total distance out of 624 miles. So that's actually pretty good. So we'll kind of track this down, make sure, you know, we hit that top of descent just right. So folks, if you have anything you want to talk about, ask questions about, anything at all, the chat room is wide open. Again, please keep it courteous, respectful, and let's not do any trash talking, because you do, I will shut it down. I am monitoring, so again, that random podcast 15, thank you for following a little over an hour ago. We appreciate the follows. Anyone listening in who does like what they're seeing, folks, please click the follow button. That lets me know two things. One, you at least like the format, like the style, like what we're trying to do here at Flying with Mike. And two, lets me know you want to join us on our next adventure. Next adventure will be tomorrow, just so y'all know. We'll be back up in Alaska for the last leg of our props adventure with Millennium Aviation that we work with. Also, we'll be going into Wainwright. Now, I may or may not have the weather turned on. I don't know what weather's like up there, and I may have the time adjusted because of the way it is, you know, up there where it's potentially fully dark. But that's tomorrow. Today, we're going into Denver and our own kind of weather. It is instrument conditions still there. The last I checked, weather-wise, winds are 070 at 11. Few clouds at 1,000. Few clouds at 9,000. So at least it's lifting. We're at least VFR now. And I don't see snow, although snow is in the TAF, the Terminal Area Forecast. But for now, it appears things are improving somewhat. The TAF also shows from today at 1800 Z, which I believe, yeah. Well, yeah, we're already within till tomorrow at 2400 Z. So basically snow from here on out, but a ceiling at 500 feet. So we'll kind of see what we're dealing with when we get there. So that gives you an idea of what's ahead, what we're looking at. Oh, excuse me. And all we can hope for is the best here, and that X-plane is up to date with the weather. So anything at all, let me know. I'm sitting right here watching the chat, and we'll let a little bit more music go along here till we get where we're into the descent phase. So we'll see you all then. All right, folks, I'm back with you. We are now 41 miles from the top of descent. 40 got 19,000 plugged in. Quick run of the checklist. Passenger sign set to on. Pressurization checked. That is right here. Cabin altitude. Everything looks good. We'll announce descent here in just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and see what happens. See if it'll go ahead like it did yesterday for me and actually start into the descent. Does not appear that it wants to. Let's get it in a little closer. Wait a minute. Nope. Okay, recall. And auto brakes for this run will be set to 3. And finally, approach briefing completed. And at our transition altitude of 18,000, we'll put the igniters back to continuous. Okay, one more try here at 30, and if that doesn't work, we're going to set it into descent. Okay, so we forced it into the descent. And what we're going to do is watch the needles here. 0.81, when we get up around 290, 300, we'll take over again under indicated airspeed. For now, we're just going to come down to 12. Again, remember our departure or logger, we have to be above 19,000, but pent, we have to be between 21 and 15 and 250 knots. So I think we'll maintain our descent now. Okay. All right, folks, so we are on our descent. We'll join you back here, around P-Pent for the approach into Denver. If not, further along as we get down closer to turning in for the airport. So sit back, relax, enjoy the ride down. All right, folks, we are getting into the area here. We're about 6 miles out from Burp and leveled off at 15,250 knots. From Burp, we'll head over to Jeff to Hazlet, and Hatar. So down to 13,000, then down to 11. All right, so pull that back, give you an idea where we are. Okay. And 3 miles now to Burp. And around Jeff, I'll take the Sim Toolkit out. That way y'all can see the whole cockpit. Everything that I pretty much see, you'll be able to see as we set up for it. Now, one thing I did want to bring up here. Let's get up to this. There it goes. The weather did update, and we're still showing few clouds at 6,000, few clouds at 10,000. We'll see how that translates. It's not really looking like that outside right now. -4, 27, 2974. Okay, we've got the altimeter set. Well, it is breaking up, so maybe our forecast is good. So let's go ahead, set for 13. Been having a lot of troubles with VNav on here. We'll see if it'll take us down. Okay, it appears like it might. We'll see here. All right, so let me come back to the live map. Gives you kind of an idea. We're not tracking this line anymore, folks. We're kind of going off here to Jeff, come down to Hazlet, out to Hater. All right, so that's why I said I may, just so it doesn't get so confusing for y'all, just go ahead and turn it off altogether. All right, so we do have all of the engine ice on, and we're through transition, so let's get back up top here, get our ignition on. All of that is on. And yes, I forgot to turn the cargo heat on in Cincinnati. Thankfully, we have nothing cold down there, but that'll warm the bays up for them when we land. Okay, so once we turn inbound at Lips, we'll be bringing the flaps down, the gear down. We'll arm the speed brakes. We already have the auto brakes set at 3. So hopefully the weather will hold. We'll come in. We'll still set up for the full auto land, and if need be, take over on the final portion of it. Okay, let's see. Are we going to be able to see the airport yet? Not yet. Okay. Okay, we're coming on 13,000, just about, Jeff. My assumption is all of those yellow marks over here, that is the airport. Just an assumption on my part. Okay. All right, so there's Jeff. We're gonna, let me see here real quick. Okay, so we got to be at 11,210. Okay, we are beginning our slow descent. We'll watch things just to make sure we don't blow through things. And once we cross Hazlitt en route to Haytar, guess what we're going to do? Slow to 210. All right, so we're leveling off at 11,000. Then from Haytar, we will continue out at 11,000, but we'll have slowing to 210. Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Sim Toolkit here, so it's not in the way for you. Irrigation circles abound here. That's what these things are here. That my mouse is kind of going to go over Hazlitt. Okay, so let's go ahead, begin the slowdown. Again, we're landing on the ILS for runway 8. Those familiar with the Denver area, that is the northern runway. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our first notch of flaps in. As it's showing, we should be at least flaps 1 at this point. And we'll go ahead and arm up the speed brakes. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Okay, we are 9 miles out. I don't have the runway yet. I sure have an idea where it should be. Oh, wait a minute. I think I do. I think it's right there. Here comes the glide slope is active, so we're going to go ahead and gear down. Go to flaps 20. Glide slope active. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead. Oh, you gotta love when it does that, folks. Not really. Okay, so we're gonna set for 10,000. 8.3. Right into the clouds. Slowing to 150. Okay, going to flaps full. Look at that, rolling out on a runway. Although that shade in the middle there has got me a little nervous. Hopefully that's not any kind of problems. Okay, here we go, folks. Landing checklist. Flaps full, 30-30. Gear down, green. Speed brakes armed. Auto brakes set to 3. We are now 2 miles final. I want to see how she auto lands. So far, so good. Well, we'll check numbers here in a minute. Wow, 550 a minute? Not bad. I know PMDG has actually shot them better than that, but hey. Oh wait, no, the PMDG I have does not have auto land. Well, it does, but it's about the same, so I can't really complain much. All right, so we're getting ready to exit the runway here. Okay, so we're going to get the after takeoff going right now. Speed brakes up. Give her a little bit of power. And we'll continue with that after takeoff after we get turned here. All right, folks, let's do the after takeoff checklist here while we're taxiing. Engine igniters off. Anti-ice can be turned off now. Landing lights off. Strobes off. APU on. Okay. MCP stape trim is set at 6. Okay, MCP set. Auto throttle is off. Transponder to standby. All right, folks, that'll do it for now. Auto brakes are off. APU is now running. We'll see you all as we're pulling into the cargo ramp. Twitch folks, of course, you'll be on all the way in. YouTube, we'll see you at the cargo ramp. And welcome back, YouTubers. Hang on a second. All right, so I'm just kind of jotting times down here, so when I go to edit, it makes it a lot easier. Okay, well actually I don't edit a lot. I don't have editing software, but I do the best I can with what I do have. So all right, this next intersection we will be making that turn, which is Sierra Charlie. This could be fun when we come out of here. Looks like we make it catering trucks. All right, so YouTubers, we've landed, taxied a 12,000 foot runway plus whatever we had left on 8. We are entering the cargo ramp. FedEx is usually I say. Hang on a second here. My chart is not wanting to behave. There it goes. Okay. Okay, usually they park them in these first bays here. So that's where we're going to aim for. And let's see what kind of room we have here. Just kind of looking here to see where will be a good spot for us. I think down on the end here. Yeah, right here on the end. Like spot 17. Okay, here we go. Lining up here as best we can. The nice thing about the sim is we get to cheat. Right, we are in the blocks. Okay, so first thing on the list to shut down is set the parking brake. Taxi lights should be off already. And wing lights and everything. Okay. Clocks. 3 hours 17 minutes on the takeoff. Pushback 3:36 because of the long taxis at both places. Okay, electrical. Oops, let's get up here and get on the APU. Okay, and we are on. Okay, so let's get the fuel controls to cut off. Passenger signs while we're here. Off. All right, fuel pumps and hydraulic pumps now. Okay, this one to auto, the rest to off. Whoops, there we go. And anti-ice was already turned off. Half cargo heat is off. All right, folks, we are in Denver at this time. Blinking lights, whoops, off. Beacon lights off. And hope you enjoyed the stream, folks. Like I said, hang on a second. Okay, so we are wrapping up here in Denver. All the checklist items are complete. Door entry open. And we'll go ahead and put her on ground power. Oop. And going to ground power. All right, APU shutting down. Fuel pumps are off. All right, folks, we are in Denver. Thank you very much for joining us on this arrival again. That random podcast number 15 followed us today. We do appreciate that. We appreciate each and every one of our people that follow us. You mean the world to us, folks. God bless you. Um, that lets me know. I hope that I'm doing what you like to hear and see here on the stream. Um, Next up will be I think we're back in Alaska tomorrow. I'm not sure what time we'll be streaming because I have to go get according to work, I have to go get checked again for COVID between now and tomorrow. With the snow, I might put that off till tomorrow, but that way I can go back to work maybe on Friday. So we'll see what happens there. I kind of not sure why I got to get a COVID test again because I've been told I can be positive for months after the first positive reading. I don't know. This whole thing has been real screwy and very disheartening to me, at least. The whole COVID thing from last year, not just my situation with it. So, and that's as far as I'm going to take it politically and as personally as well, because that's not what this stream's about. This stream's about the aircraft you're taking a look at here, the good old 747 Queen of the Skies, and flying with Mike's uh, streams that I do with this girl, the Zebo 737, the King Air, and the Caravan. Like I said, tomorrow we're up in Alaska. Not sure what time yet. Stay tuned with Discord. I'm going to go ahead and announce it. It is the last flight in that um, adventure they have set up. I'm trying to think of the words off the top of my head, and they're totally escaping me. So, but it's the last trip in that series. The second series, I don't know when we'll start up with it, but stay tuned. Tomorrow I'll get you the time. I know the stream probably says 10. Bank on it a little later. But we'll see. Again, I'll announce in the stream when we're going to come up. Possibility of the King Air making a final return on that run. And then we'll see what we do with the Alaska Bush series that we've been flying, because the second tour takes us actually into Alaska. So, and then we work through it. And that can get real dicey this time of the year. So, but again, it's been real dicey up to this point up on it. So, what would be the difference? But anyway, thanks for joining us, folks, as I ramble on here. Let me ramble us on out. Thank you very much. We appreciate you all very much. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday. And those of you in the St. Louis area, enjoy a little bit of the snow God has prepared for us and given us. And with that, folks, y'all have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing. And God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.